This is one of the biggest lawsuits in the real estate industry. And this lawsuit centers around real estate agent commissions. The plaintiffs in this case alleged the NAR and several other high-profile brokerages conspired to keep real estate commissions high at the expense of home sellers. Now, we do have a jury verdict on this, but we haven't really heard from the judge yet. So we don't really know what this means. And I know for people who work in the real estate industry and make their living helping people buy and sell their homes, it's a really frightening time. And look, I wish I could tell you what this all really means and what's going to happen, but the truth is, no one really knows yet. But we can talk about where we stand today, what we know, and some of the potential outcomes that may happen. And that's exactly what we're going to break down in this video. When this all began, the lawsuit was first called the Sitzer lawsuit, and now it's named the Barnett lawsuit. And the basic idea is that a bunch of plaintiffs who were sellers of around 260,000 homes, mostly in Missouri and Kansas and most of the Midwest. So all these plaintiffs got together to file a class action lawsuit against some high-profile brokerages, against several real estate companies, and the biggest and most notable of them being the NAR, which is the National Association of Realtors. The NAR controls majority of the MLS technology, which is the multiple listing service, and this technology is supposed to help real estate agents market their listings more effectively. The basic assertion here is that NAR and a lot of real estate companies basically conspired to keep real estate agent commissions high at the expense of homeowners. And if you're not familiar, these commissions can range anywhere between 5 to 7% and are paid exclusively by the seller. So what happens is that the seller, let's say, pays their listing agent about 6%. And then the listing agent splits that commission with the buyer's agent. And the plaintiffs in this case have said this is not allowed, it is a conspiracy to ensure that buyer's agents get paid. And this causes the sellers not to have an opportunity to negotiate and that they have no leverage on the situation. On the other hand, the defendants in this case say that this model where the seller pays both the buyer's agent and the listing agent is the most efficient way for the housing market to operate. Now, this lawsuit was filed a while ago, but over the summer, several companies like Remax and Century 21 have actually settled outside the court, totaling to about $150 million for all the companies that chose to settle outside court. For the other companies that chose not to settle, most notably being the National Association of Realtors and Keller Williams, it went to trial, and after 2 weeks, the jury did side with the plaintiffs. They agreed with the 260,000 home sellers that NAR and Keller Williams conspired to keep real estate commissions high at the seller's expense. And as part of that decision, they have awarded the plaintiffs $1.8 billion in damages. And the judge, in this case, who we have not yet heard from, could potentially increase these damages to $5.3 billion. Now, the NAR has already said that they are going to appeal. So this is really just the beginning of a long legal process. So that's kind of where we are today. We know a little bit, but we don't know everything. So let's just talk about some of the variables that could be coming down the road. The biggest thing in this case is whether the judge is going to put an injunction or ban the cooperative compensation rule. What this rule really means is that the sellers pay the full commission to the listing agent, then splits it with the buyer's agent, and this is basically how it works. So the question becomes, will the judge completely ban this compensation structure? Will there be an injunction, or will they put a stay on it? We really don't know yet. And according to some of the people that keep a very close eye on this case, we might not really hear from the judge that soon, which could be a couple of weeks. Now, despite not knowing what will happen for sure, there is a lot of speculation in the market about this. Whether you're a real estate agent who helps people buy or sell homes in the industry, or a homeowner or a home buyer, everybody wants to know what's going to happen with this case. Again, we still don't know what exactly is going to happen, but I will share with you a couple of ideas I have read since this has come out and things that I've heard and read from other industry experts. And they range from minor changes to the system to a complete rethinking of how homes are bought and sold here in the US. On the minor side of things, it's more about disclosure. And what the case hinged upon was that there was not enough information for home sellers to make a decision whether they wanted to use the cooperative compensation plan or not. One option some people believe is going to happen is the judge may say you could still use the cooperative compensation plan, but you need to be more forthcoming about the rules and what options home sellers have. This could be one of the options. The other thing that could happen, which I think could really change the way real estate is bought and sold in this country, and a way that we really don't understand, is that home buyers will have to pay their agents themselves. Now, that has never happened as far back as we can go in terms of how real estate has been sold and bought in the United States. There are a lot of questions about this. It is still going to be commission-based because there are so many real estate agents. Are home buyers going to be able to negotiate down their commissions? And would this reduce the total amount of commissions paid? Some people even suggested that home buyers might even pay their agents hourly. When you think about the possibility of the judge filing an injunction and saying the cooperative commission structure is not allowed anymore, and some of these things could come true. But we really don't know yet, and these are just reasonable estimates of what could happen. This could mean a huge shift in the industry. And I've seen estimates that if the cooperative compensation plan goes away, real estate agents as a whole could lose about 30% in annual commissions. And that will be from a total commission pool of about $60 billion, which could potentially go down to $42 billion. This, of course, could hurt a lot of real estate agents and how they make their living. This would also impact brokerages and other parts of the real estate industry that secondarily rely on commission, like companies like Zillow and other websites and digital platforms. And look, I'm no expert on this, but when I read what the experts say, they believe this is the most likely outcome at this point. Agents are still going to be used, but there's going to be a shift in how buyers agents are compensated, and perhaps the 6% commission rate might be negotiated down. And lastly, on the dramatic side of things, that could happen is that people may not use agents anymore and they might just get phased out altogether. And look, even though this might seem like a possibility, again, we still don't know as the judge has not made a ruling yet. And from what I've read from people who are experts in the industry and on the laws and how real estate really works and all the discussions we've had, they believe this is not a likely outcome right now. But those are just a few things that could potentially happen. We have to wait and see what the judge says and how NAR responds to it. And I'm sure if you're an agent or a broker, you want to get ahead of this and potentially start restructuring your business model to adapt. NAR fuels so much of the industry because they control the multiple listing service. It's basically a place where agents who are helping home sellers go and place a property online, and then it gets sent out to all the websites where you can go and find homes for sale. And because the NAR controls them, they've been able to say, if you are going to use the MLS, you have to agree with the cooperative compensation plan. So they're kind of setting the terms for the entire industry. And as we discussed, until the judge rules and the NAR responds to it, we're not really going to know what's going to happen next. And this happens to be a really interesting time for the NAR because their CEO has just stepped down. So there is going to be a big change in leadership at such a pivotal time for the NAR. While this is happening, there's been a slew of copycat lawsuits that have been coming up. In fact, the day this announcement came up that this decision was reached, the attorney for the plaintiffs in the case followed a new lawsuit against several other brokerages that weren't named in the original lawsuit. So we're just at the beginning of this. And all we know is the jury has ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, but in order to think through what happens next, we first need to hear what the judge rules and how the NAR responds to that. I hope this information was helpful to you in gaining some clarity to what's going on, and I know it's frustrating to not know what's going to happen, but I wanted to give you the facts as they stand today because this is such an important story for anyone who is in the real estate industry. Of course, as more information unfolds, I will keep you posted here on this YouTube channel, so please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Yahya Chatani, and I will see you next time.